BRENLACTUS really loves runners with link, huh? As with Khan, if I said that Sunny was good, I'd be lying. But that doesn't stop me from trying. I'm gonna try to do this. It's not gonna be easy, but with accelerated card draw, tutoring, and economy from Temujin, hopefully I can get set up quicker than my opponent can rush me out. And rush out this opponent's deck can do. I'm playing up against James and his signature Jammy HB. So I might be in a bit of trouble here. Now, I still haven't got my card draw. Card draw is mostly Earthrise Hotel and tutorings from SMC, neither of which I've drawn, but I've drawn into a whole boatload of economy. Jet Sinclair plus Temujin is actually a pretty sick combo. Now, this peddler isn't going to do much. The choice is between Hopper and Underworld Contacts. One gives me more money, which I don't really need. The other one gives me Link or card draw. And I think I need a card draw right now. So I'm probably going to pop the Hopper next turn. Pop the peddler for the Hopper to pop next turn. Yep, I do have a lot of money in my hand. I'm up with a lot of credits, but don't be fooled. Sunny's breakers are so expensive to install and use. Those credits can vanish in a heartbeat. So I'm going to liberate the last of the Temujin money. And I'm not going to play the other Temujin just yet, even though I have Career Fair Temujin in hand. And that's the only Career Fair target. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to play other stuff. I'm probably going to play the Underworld, probably the Data Sucker, and the Sherman. Data Sucker with Jack Sinclair is a pretty good synergy. And this is what you do when you build a Sunny deck. You have to consider what goes well with Jack Sinclair, and it's stuff that triggers on successful runs. Stuff like Earthrise. Sorry, not Earthrise. Data Sucker. But I don't play the Sucker just yet. I play the Strike so that I can get past Architects. That's my foremost concern. The Earthrise draw was very lucky. That gave me a target to use Career Fair on. But at this point, I think I made a mistake. I should have installed the Data Sucker instead of the Strike, because I really want the Data Sucker. I really want to make use of Jack Sinclair run. Getting Data Sucker tokens is like getting Desperado money. Actually, more so, because of the way Sunny's breakers work. If you can reduce the need, if you can remove the need to pump the strength of your breakers, you're saving 2 credits. And that's quite a big deal. So obviously by this point you can see that I'm trying to assemble my rig as quickly as possible. I don't have the console just yet. Handler does not give me the console, it does not give me my decoder, it does not give me SMC. So I still can't really run. Or can I? I run through my head, what's the worst code gate that could hit me? IQ is nothing, Enigma just ends the run. Fairchild is painful but it's clickable, Victor's clickable as well, Tollwolf is a pain. There's not that much that could harm me, so I'm just gonna start running some server. Given that my opponent hasn't scored anything yet, this is a very slow game for my opponent. I bet he has agendas in hand, so let's run HQ with a Temujin pointer at HQ. Past the Eli, I see an Ichi. So at this point, I ask myself, well, I'm trading 4 credits for 4 credits, am I not? 4 to break Eli and 4 to get Temujin off. Get 4 money off Temujin rather. So it's not a very worthy trade. I'm just treading water at the most. Also, I get bumped out by a Ravana eventually. So that Ravana is really annoying because Sunny's decoders are on strength 1. Pumping them will bring them to strength 4. So strength 5 is the awkward level. It's very awkward for you to deal with. At this point, I tried to use Data Sucker counters to try to get Ravana down to strength 2. But I realized after the fact that the decoder is strength 1, just like all the other breakers. Base strength 1, that's so horrible. So if I wanted to pay for the Ravana, I would have to pay 4 credits, and I didn't have enough for that. So I had to click through the Ravana instead and suck down the Eli. That can be sucked down with 3 sucker counters, and I see a Baltic Labor. So this has been a really weird game. I kind of know James's deck. I kind of know that it's a rushy HB. He has Baltic in hand. He has a lot of money. Where are the agendas? I think he doesn't have agendas. There are probably no agendas in hand. I was running my HQ runs were futile all this while. In fact, they have been costing me money. Money that I should have spent on locking down R&D instead. So I'm gonna draw a bit more here. I have found all my breakers, but the next thing I need is my console, which is Security Nexus. That's actually quite important to save money on these very big nasty Bioroids. So I'm gonna continue my Jack Sinclair runs on archives. I'm not getting Temujin money, but I am getting sucker counters, which is so important, as I'm discovering right now. Paying 4 credits for each Borrowed Ice is no joke. If you can reduce that to 2 credits with sucker counters, that's a lot better. I also get the Global Sec Security Clearance out. This is the only form of central pressure I have. There's no multi-access in this deck. Basically, it's all about the Global Sec. I'm not using Global yes, I am using Global Sec after Jack Sinclair, and I don't see anything of much value on R&D, so I try to challenge the remote instead. I do have a good number of credits. Turing's really annoying. 4 credits and a sucker counter. That's 5 strength ice for you. Single side routine is going to cost you 4 credits. Architect, 2 sucker counters and a strike. That's 2 credits for an architect, but 2 sucker counters down the drain. Last one, Troll Booth. Ugh, what an annoying server. Guardian Blade would be slicing through this, but no. All I have is this silly decoder that is so inefficient. And I don't even get rewarded for it. All I get is the trash advanced assembly lines, and the worst news, Cyberdex is in the bin. Cyberdex is in the bin. So Jack Sinclair is basically turned off right now, because I can't run archives to charge up my suckers. Don't you wish you had security testing or something like that right now? Even Patron would be pretty nice. Well, I can only take my clicks and finally see the green cards I've been waiting for all game. Yeah, SMC. It's not gonna do much right now. I still need my console, don't get me wrong. But I do see an ABT on R&D, and it's time to go for it. But I only have 5 credits. My opponent's on 7. Can I get in? I think I can. I'm gonna make a gamble here. I'm gonna play Sunny's current paycheck, which allows me to trace if I steal an agenda. And I'm about to steal one. So I left myself with 2 clicks so that I could click through Ivana. With 5 credits, I'm able to break through the last piece of ice, which is an Eli, steal the beta test, and let the current fire. Since we're both on 1 credit, my opponent cannot stop me from firing the current off with my 3 link, and so I get 4 credits from the 4 agenda points in our score areas. It's a sure gamble. Not the best, but it's something. It's something. Okay? I'm still getting pretty good money. 2 underworld contacts every turn. But now I realize that I actually do need the SMC right now, because I'm very low on money and this deck runs Magno Opus. So Opus is a very curious choice for this deck. A lot of you might be wondering, with so many resources, why do you need Opus? And the straight up simple answer is CTM. CTM is a very horrible deck to deal with, because they can completely wipe your board state with an All-Seeing Eye. So any resource intensive runner must really consider their options, diversifying their economy and or draw options. And for Sunny, this entails running Magno Opus, which fits very well in Sunny, because you don't care about memory. You have essentially 5 free memory because your breakers are all cloud. So Opus just fits very nicely. And it gives you the sustained late game. And most of the time you have nothing better to do with your clicks anyway, so why not just charge up your credits so that you can actually use your breakers. Now I'm going to run through R&D here. Guess why? Alright, Ravana is still going to be clicked through because it's such an annoying ice to deal with. And then we go through Eli with Sherman, and we see the Vitruvius. Now we get another trace from the current. This time it's higher stakes, but I'm only on 2 credits with 3 link. My opponent needs to pay 6 credits into the trace to deny me the 6 credits worth of agenda points. My opponent doesn't do that, so I get 6 credits. I think my opponent made the right choice there. You really cannot lose 6 credits just to deny the runner 6 credits. That's not a worthy trade for you, especially as the co-op where you need your money and when you're trying to use Baltic Labor. So here you see me running archives because my opponent just fired an ABT, except that I was playing late at night and I didn't realize that my opponent didn't actually fire the ABT. He scored it, but he didn't fire it. So I was basically wasting my time running archives. In fact, I was setting myself back because I was losing sucker counters. Alright, so from this point on, it's basically just spying on R&D with Global Sec Security Clearance. If there's nothing on the top, I'm going to just hit Opus and camp his remote. In this case, it's slightly different. I have a dirty laundry, so I might as well just use it on HQ. Get a bit of Temujin money, while at the same time keeping his hand honest. and then installing the security nexus. So nexus is actually quite important. Again, reducing the number of credits I need to get past the Ravana or even the toll booth is actually quite a big deal. That remote is a very menacing remote, and maybe I should just be hitting magnum opus so that I can contest the remote at will. But right now, my opponent is just scoring yet another agenda, going up 6 points, threatening game. But my opponent cannot win next turn, he's only on 3 credits, so I need to find 2 more agenda points. Again, I thought he fired the ABT, but he did not. I'm really blind. I see an Ash on the top of R&D. Normally you run the Ash, but I choose not to here. Because it's actually a simple reason. If I trash the Ash and my opponent top decks an agenda, I'll be in a very bad place. I actually do not want my opponent to see any agendas. So he can draw eyes, he can draw money, he can draw anything but agendas. So my opponent just takes money and hands the turn over to me. At 5 credits, my opponent cannot score out unless he has natural growth, and I don't think he does. So I'm just going to keep locking R&D. I see a Christian grid. That's not going to really affect my plans. So again, I'm just going to keep HQ honest here, because my opponent attempted to draw a card last turn. So this time I can actually waltz past the Ravana thanks to Security Nexus along with the double hopper, giving me 4 link. All I need to pay is 1 credit to beat Trace, which is very convenient. No, actually no, I don't need to pay any credits because Nexus gives me 1 link. So yes, I'm on 5 link right now, and I see a Victor. So Sunny is actually also a very good counter to CTN once you're set up. With Hoppers and Security Nexus and your base 2 link, you basically turn off the ID once you have all these cards installed. Of course, getting there is the tricky part, and as you can see, I've weathered the storm. My opponent was not able to score out, but the game's still not over yet. I still need to claw my way to 7 points before my opponent draws his winning agenda. So life is looking a bit tough right now. I do spy on R&D and I see a global food. It's go time. I do have the paycheck in my hand, so I might as well just use it. So I spend 1 click to play the paycheck, and this allows me to make a run on R&D. I'll break all the ice, and I'll steal the food. Question is, what do I do with my last click? Knowing that my opponent hyper drew for cards last turn, and knowing that the next card of R&D will be a fresh card from my opponent, it's not the card that I've seen yet. It just makes perfect sense for me to rerun the R&D, hoping to snipe the winning agenda. Let's see if I actually make it. Breaking past the Ravana, getting past the Eli, what do I see? Hedge fund. Nope. Is it a game? I ask my opponent. James says no. Still haven't found a winning agenda? Well, let's see if I can spy cam the winning agenda using Global Sec Security Clearance. Start of my turn, spying a Kronos project, so that's game. All I need to do is run R&D, my opponent doesn't have a Jackson, so I win the game. That was not a very convincing victory, I'm not gonna lie. My opponent saw well below the expected number of agendas, and probably would have won that game 9 times out of 10. So this deck comes courtesy of Brandon from Redox. Thanks Brandon for this deck. It is somewhat fun to play. The trouble is there's not much multi-access. In fact, there's none at all. Really, your only win condition is the Global Sec Security Clearance. And I guess that has to be the way. You can't really afford to spend influence on multi-access because that just completely gimps the Econ engine and the Tutor engine that you so badly need. It's very surprising considering that you have access to a lot of good neutral cards like Earthrise Hotel, like Daily Cards. But when you actually play Sunny, you realize that these cards are so slow that they just cannot keep up. If you want to keep up, you have to play nimble cards. SMC is the big one. SMC allows you to get by without drawing too much of your deck, and that's quite a big deal because there's not actually much card draw in the deck. You realize that the only draw is the Earthrise Hotels, full stop. So Brandon's original version of the deck had 3 self-modifying codes so that you can get up and running with your breakers. Yeah, so his original version looks something like this. And the change basically, and it had a political operative in it. Basically, my changes to it were to remove the Polop because Caprice is almost nowhere to be seen, drop an SMC to slightly lower the consistency, or rather the tutor power, but in exchange you increase the consistency by dropping in all the peddlers. think Peddler is a very, very good card in Sunny because you're running so few events, and it's just um, it's it's a very small piece of econ, but it draws through your deck quicker and gives you the solutions you need. You'll notice that there's a lot of redundancy in this Sunny deck. There are 3 Jacks and Clairs. There are 2 of each breaker, 2 of the console, which I think there should be 3 of in a 50 card deck. So there's a lot of redundancy is all I'm trying to say, and Peddler allows you to make full use of this redundancy by freely ditching cards that you otherwise don't need. And Temujin, as you saw, was a very powerful econ card and one that you badly need, especially when breaking ice is so expensive. I mean, the fact that a single Eli on HQ can completely neuter Temujin speaks to how incredibly inefficient the Breaker Suite is. And that's why another one of my changes after dropping the SMC is to increase the number of data suckers to 3, because the suckers pull so much weight against big ice matchups such as these. In exchange, I dropped the security chips, which you normally see in Sunny decks. I'm not that big of a fan of one-use cards, and the security chips just don't give enough impact for those one-use cards. I must say, Paycheck's actually surprisingly good. It is actually a really interesting card, and usually you only play it once you are guaranteed an agenda from Global Sec, but it actually does give you the momentum you need to continue pressuring that server in the same turn, especially R&D, because when you steal an agenda off R&D, you want to run again to make sure that the top card isn't another agenda that your opponent draws to score. With Paycheck, you are now given the money to make that run, which is pretty cool. This deck doesn't run Rabbit Hole, which is a pity, but I find that I can sustain a high enough amount of link with the hoppers, so that's fine. Really, the biggest weakness is finding yourself with nothing to do in the mid to late game because you don't have HQ or multi-access on HQ or R&D. I guess I'm supposed to play this deck differently. It's supposed to be more aggressive. You're supposed to run early on. I don't know how, because your breakers are so expensive, but I guess you're supposed to get some early agendas and use Global Sec to close out the game, as opposed to what I did, which was scoring all 4 agendas using Global Sec spies, which is very, very hard to do. Well, hopefully that was an interesting playthrough of Sunny, and hopefully that inspires you to try out this Sunny deck for yourself. Tell me how it goes if you try it. I'd like to know as well. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Happy net running. Goodbye.